Hey everybody, this is the Cannabis News with Rick Thompson on 420 Post. Let's get started. What our lives really needed was another alphabet group. We've got MI Normal, the MICIA, the MRA, and now the CRA, the Cannabis Regulators Association. Michigan marijuana licensing officials joined up with counterparts from 19 other states to form a National Marijuana Regulators Association. Norman Bierbaum, who is the director of New York's regulatory system, said the association will strive to create and promote harmony and standardization across jurisdictions which choose to legalize and regulate cannabis. The group includes representatives from across the nation and is meant to be a sounding board for member states, as well as a resource for others considering legalization. And that includes Michigan, with Director Andrew Brisboe being the third vice president of the new organization. Brisboe said much of the discussion among states is surrounding inclusion and social equity efforts to ensure the markets are accessible to more than just the wealthiest companies, and especially those who've been harmed by prior marijuana prohibition. Now here's a wonderful follow-up to a story we've been going for some time now. The Bay Mills Indian community has opened their cannabis dispensary on tribal lands. The Northern Lights Cannabis Company facility stands apart from the regulated cannabis industry in Michigan, and that makes it unique in a number of ways. The tribal property is located in the eastern Upper Peninsula and is only phase one of a long-term project designed to create a vertically integrated cannabis industry for the Bay Mills family. Now, their 110-acre campus will eventually house cultivation and processing centers too. The tribe's goal is to build retail centers near the casino, but also on tribal property all around Chippewa County. That's according to a report by Up North Live news source. In July, Loom Cannabis announced they'd reached an agreement with the tribal group on a cannabis business entity, but it appears the tribal group has forged on ahead without attachment to any regulated businesses. Said BMIC tribal chairperson Brian Newland, Bay Mills has no interest in turning over our sovereign lands to private for-profit corporations who are regulated and taxed by the state of Michigan. Okay, next story. Let's talk about Hamtramck, the little city surrounded by Detroit. Residents were suddenly aware that the city had approved a cannabis retailer to open up shop and were planning to authorize another, even though city council had not approved the operation of cannabis businesses. In an emergency fashion, city council just last night introduced an ordinance which would block any sales of cannabis in the city proper. You see, the city council is controlled by the duly elected Muslim members, and they've prevented cannabis industries from having success in Hamtramck for a long time. The city's move to issue licenses without council approval came from the city clerk and legal counsel. Now, although the MRA does require a city clerk's attestation before they will issue a license, that clerk should probably get authorization from city leaders before going off and deciding who gets licenses and who does not. Ordinances are usually read twice before they're voted on, so last night's Zoom meeting was likely just the opening salvo of a very ugly conflict. Last story of the day, Michael Thompson, perhaps America's most well-known cannabis prisoner, was granted a parole board hearing in Michigan yesterday. For clarity's sake, although our last names are the same, he and I are not related. Thompson is serving a 60-year sentence for cannabis and weapons charges. His case history is so outrageous, it's drawn the attention of justice organizations from across the nation. Celebrities from America are using the hashtag #FreeMichaelThompson, including actor and podcasting legend Joe Rogan just this morning. During yesterday's online parole hearing, 13 people spoke on Michael's behalf, including myself. I told the parole board that Michael will have a soft landing if granted release, and we have companies led by people who care about employing felons and helping folks like Michael Thompson. And we've got two of those gentlemen and guests on today's show. That's Jerry Millen and Michael Elias. So why don't we get to it? Now, this has been the Cannabis News with Rick Thompson on 420 Post, and it's back to you, Mike.
Well, actually, back to Jamie. Jamie wanted to point out something. She sent me an email just before we started. She wants to talk about something of great interest to her. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's a interest to a lot of people in our community and in our industry. So this morning, there were some new rules in regards to background checks for those that have hemp companies. So beginning with the 2021 registration and license year, the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development will only accept a completed FBI identity history summary as verification of an applicant's criminal history. This means to lawfully grow, process, handle, broker, or market industrial hemp in Michigan, all applicants and or key participants of a business must be free of felony drug convictions for 10 years preceding the date of the application. So that's a huge thing that was dropped, which is it's kind of hard to see, because I know a lot of people that wanted opportunities in cannabis are doing a lot on the hemp side of things. And we might see a lot of companies go away because of this, and we don't do this to tomato farmers. We don't do this to corn farmers. And, some of these people are trying to make textiles and things that would really benefit us, on the hemp side of things. So, what do you guys think of that?
Three initials, DEA. I'm a co-host of the iHemp Hour, which comes on Thursdays. We've discussed this. And the DEA is just hung up on anything that has THC in it. And as we know, hemp is a minuscule amount of THC in it. And there's 28,000 uses for hemp. And we're looking at using it the auto industry is beginning to use it for components and things like that. I think it's crazy. And the folks at Industrial Hemp of Michigan agree. So
Well, the whole federal crime monitoring program and federal background records check is a component of the Marijuana Regulatory Association's traditional MMFLA or MRTMA background series, but it's never ever been applied towards hemp before. Hemp, of course, defined as a product with almost no THC in it. If we define the supposed danger of cannabis by its THC content, this seems like we're extending a restriction in an area where it's not warranted.